Greater St. James, Greater Galilee, in their efforts of searching for a new shepherd. The district has in fact supplied pulpits for Greater Galilee and funded the stipend for those who stood in the pulpit for 90 days.
Amen.
They have not always followed our instructions or our recommendations, but our best efforts were put forward to guide and help them. The autonomy of the local assembly is always something that you have to deal with. I want to say this carefully. It's very unprofessional and unethical for another local pastor of a district church to come behind the moderator and the executive committee when a church has asked for the district's help. I also received orders from the court to moderate a meeting of another local church's election on a pastor's continuing employment contract. So you see, I've been busy. Been a little bit busy. We've also, as a district, assisted in the disasters that have taken place, particularly in the South. Our district has helped in those efforts. We started our journey 2 years ago with the theme, Built to Last. At our most recent executive board meeting, I recommended to the executive board that we make the theme the district's motto. They accepted that recommendation, that our motto will be built to last. In fact, that is my only recommendation at this time. Reason being that we have several other recommendations last year. The fact is that many of those recommendations are still being worked on and have not come into complete fruition. Makes it clear that we should not be adding additional ones until we finish the ones that we've started. One of the things that I'm familiar with is change takes place is slow in the Baptist arena. One of the things that I learned from my father at an early age about hunting at night using a lantern, not a flashlight. There was a principle that we learned hunting at night with a lantern. Once you walk in the light you've been given, then you will be given a little bit more light to walk in. But we got to first conquer the space in the light that we've been given before we go any further. If you want to trip yourself up in the woods at night hunting with a lantern, just try to go too fast. I wish I had some wood help in here. Listen, don't get in too big a hurry, Union District. We might trip ourselves up. So let's work on what we've already recommended. Tonight I want to introduce you to our theme for the next 2 years by way of the message. Again, it has been approved by the executive committee in our last meeting. Would you turn with me to Ephesians chapter 4? Ephesians chapter 4, verses 1 through 6. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 1 through 6. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 1 through 6. As a prisoner for the Lord, then I urge you to live a life worthy of your calling. You have the calling that you receive. Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. Make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. There is one body and one Spirit, just as you were called to one hope when you were called, one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is over all and through all and in all. The words of God, of the Lord for his people. You may be seated.
Hallelujah.
Our theme for the next 2 years, I want to preach about it, a unified district endeavoring to fulfill its purpose.
All right now.
A unified district endeavoring to fulfill its purpose. As a parent, one of my desires concerning my children was that they simply get along.
All right.
No parent wants to see their children bickering and fussing.
Right.
I remember as my boys were getting larger and older, and for some reason they were always arguing, and before you know it, it turned into an old-fashioned barroom fight.
Yeah.
Kind of reminded me when I was in high school. I went down to a juke joint in Marks, Mississippi, and me and my brother and Fred and Jerry and some others, and we were sitting around minding our own business. Some young ladies came over, and before we know it, it was a barroom fight. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. And then I remember my oldest brother and I, we went through this period where we couldn't get along. At least we just had that period. So we went on the other side of the cotton field and we would fight. But when we came back to the house, we acted like everything was all right. Because Daddy wasn't going to have it any other way. But my boys, this is not what you would expect from a preacher's house. Pastors' kids are supposed to spend their time gathering around the table, engrossed in Bible study and singing church songs. I'm sorry to tell you, it doesn't always work out that way. A good father wants the best for their children and wish their children would get along with each other.
Yeah.
I was thinking, if that's how I felt as a father to my children, imagine how our Heavenly Father feels when He gazes on His children and sees them bickering and arguing when we're supposed to be gathering together in His name, spending time praising and magnifying Him. One way a child honors his father is to get along with his siblings. In the same manner, our Heavenly Father wants the district to be a unified district endeavoring to fulfill His purpose. We currently have 36 churches which comprise the district, yet we only have about half of those participating in to fulfill the purposes as ordained by the Constitution.
Yeah.
Our main focus is local and foreign mission, Christian education, and evangelism. The district is designed also to strengthen the churches and further train the pastors and the laity leaders. Of course, we represented the state and the national convention in years past. We have been overly representing on the state and national level while falling short in our core local responsibilities. And we will never reach our full potentials until we unite and set forth a course of action that is more purposeful for our local people. Right before Jesus was crucified, Jesus prayed a prayer for His disciples and then for those of us who would believe. And namely, He said it was an amazing prayer because the prayer He prayed was one specific thing that He wanted the world to know that He had truly been saved. What was that one thing? Was it powerful preaching? Was it melodious singing? Was it studying through the COP program? No, Jesus' prayer for many of the believers, listen to the prayer in John 17 and 20. He said, my prayer is not for them alone. I pray also for those who would believe in me through the message, that all of them may know that they will be one. Father, just as you are in me and I in you, may they also be in one in the world, that they believe that you sent me. If the world is going to know that Jesus is the Christ, then we, his body, must learn to live in unity. Now, how do we do it? How do we do it? Because we've got so many diverse churches. We've got so many diverse individuals. We've got so many different personalities. How do we foster unity? In our text, the Apostle Paul tells us. In the first 3 chapters of this book, Paul deals with doctrine. Get this. Faith is doctrine in action. Let me say that again. Faith is doctrine in action. For the first 3 chapters, Paul spoke about why we are the church. Now he moves to how we are to be the church. And his first focus is on unity. Now, for a district to be unified, it must be unified around its essential doctrines. We are not unified just for the sake of being unified. That does not mean that we are so dogmatic in our beliefs and say that everyone must think alike on every subject. There's room for debatable opinions, but to say that an individual can believe whatever he wants to believe and still be unified in the faith is simply ridiculous. With great care, Paul gives us in the text some ways we can be a unified body, endeavoring to fulfill our purpose. And what he says first is, first of all, he talks about our attitude. Our attitude is necessary. Christian unity does not begin with an external structure, but rather the attitude of the heart. I don't care how many constitutional revisions we implement. I don't care how many policy manuals we write and adopt. If the heart is not right, our effort for unity will be hindered. What kind of attitude? What kind of attitude? We must have an attitude, an ambitious attitude that is to live worthy of being called a Christian. Paul says here, walk worthy of the vocation wherein you were called. Listen, when 2 people have the same ambitions to live their lives a certain way, they find that it automatically they have a great deal in common, and enables them to be unified. Take marriage. If the husband and the wife have the same goals, they can move more easily to accomplish those things and ambitions when their ambitions are the same. Those of us who call ourselves Christians, we should strive to live a holy life, moving towards perfection, which simply means love God, love your neighbor more tomorrow than you did today.
All right.
And since we have the same ambitions to live a certain way, we have the same things in common. Paul says in verse 1, I urge you to live worthy of your calling you have received.
Right.
One of my former school teachers and was a member of the church that I pastored, Second Baptist in Oxford, Mrs. Marshall used to say this. She said, when you say you're a Christian, you said a mouthful. And in a way she was right, because Paul urges us to live a life worthy of being called a Christian. Listen, the second attitude is not to be ego-driven. Much of what has caused disunity in our churches is the result of somebody's ego. Let that sink in. Pride. Paul says that we should not be that way. In verse 2 he says, be completely humble and gentle. He used words like meekness and long-suffering and forbearing one another in love. The Bible describes that pride goes before destruction. And too often pride brings down churches and indeed districts. Too often we find that people are not willing to work together because of their pride. We need to learn to keep our pride intact. It could be over a power struggle, which makes you feel that you have to hold a certain position without realizing in the district there are a lot of other people capable of doing what you're doing. All they need is an opportunity. One of my first leadership trainings when I came to Pilgrim was on ego. And it was called edging God out. When you edge God out, you got a problem in your church. That's what happens when we don't keep our pride in check. Too many of our divisions in our churches and our district is not over theological issues. But somebody who feels they have to be in charge. I like what Romans chapter 12 and verse 16 says in the Living Bible. It says, work happily together. Don't act big. Don't try to get into the good graces of important people, but enjoy the company of ordinary folks and don't think you know it all. I used to have a member in my church who was smarter than God. Yeah, he thought he was smarter than God. Yeah, yes. Listen, he said, be humble. The next attitude is that we have to overlook. How should I put it? The idiosyncrasies of others. That last part of the verse 2 in NIV said, be humble, be gentle, be patient with each other, making allowances for each other's faults because of your love. Listen, working in the church and working in the district, can I tell you that there are some folks that hurt you? You don't believe it? Ask the ushers. They telling you to go this way, you just intentionally going another way. Okay. Let me use myself as an example. Listen, in our office, I have this issue. I can't work with paperwork all over everywhere. Now, some folks can. Some folks can work with the paper stacked here and there and everywhere. And so the secretary is one of those who can work with stuff everywhere. And when I go into the office, I start taking the stuff like Monk and put it in piles in her office. And it just irks her. I wish I had some help in here. Now, what irks her is that I am a product of before they had a shredder. And I tear up stuff in little pieces. Just tear it up, throw it in the garbage can. So my custodian bought me a small shredder and put it in the office. It irked him too. Tear up stuff, instead of throwing it in the shredder, I just tear it up in small pieces. But one of the things that we had to learn is we have to overlook the little things that got on our nerves in order to get the business of the office done. I wish I had a witness here. Since we're working together, we've got to overlook some of those things that get on our skin. We've got to be united enough to overlook those things, because we have to understand that love overlooks little stuff. Do we have a witness here? I won't hold you long. The next attitude that's necessary combines all the others. It simply says there's a need to be a willingness to work in unity. Look at verse 3. Make every effort to make the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. Can I tell you, it takes an effort to work in unity. Our natural tendencies is to stay away from folks who are not like us. That's why you got so many cliques in the church. Because we try to stay away from certain folks that ain't like us. Do I have a witness here? But we must make every effort to work together, being in unity. So then, what is unity? We've got to recognize this. Unity is not uniformity. Listen, I know your ushers wear your white and the nurses wear, but that ain't unity. Deacons come in on the first Sunday with their black suits on and their badges on, saying, I'm a deacon. Looking sharp, but that ain't unity, that's uniformity. Do I have a witness here? We might look the same in uniform, but we have to be unified in our hearts. Unity it forms a bond between us. We have the same purpose. We have the same goal. We seek the same results. People go to the football game and sit on one side because they want the same results. They have the same interests. Here we are. We're different in many ways. But we must unite in an effort to fulfill the district's purpose so that God gets the glory. There's so much more I want to say. Now that we've looked at this idea of needing to cultivate unity, but what is the basis for unity? Well, the basis can be found in two things. First, we are a community of believers.
All right.
Community of believers. And secondly, we are bound together in our love for Jesus. A community of believers. Verse 4. There is one body, one spirit. When God created the church, He did not create it out of brick and mortar to us to worship in. He created a community to belong to. God created the church to come together to worship God, to love each other, to grow in maturity, to serve each other, and to attract others into a relationship with God and with each other. In other words, God created us to need one another. Can I tell you, no Christian can be a Christian by themselves. Your decision to become a Christian may have been a personal decision, but it was not a private one. The reason I know, because Jesus said, if you're ashamed to own me, before my Father, I'll be ashamed to own you. We are part of a body of believers. And to endure, we must stick together. God gave each of us gifts that alone are incomplete. But when we bring them together, we can fulfill a greater purpose. God has distributed these gifts. If you look down to verse 11, in this chapter, he says he gave some apostles. He gave some prophets, some evangelists, some pastors and teachers for the perfecting of the saints. Each and every one of us has an important part to play in the body of Christ. And if we're going to utilize our gifts, we can't rob the church when we've been gifted. Do I have a witness here? Ricky Warren said, God gave your gifts not for your sake, but for my sake. And he said, he gave my gift not for my sake, but for yours. The second basis for unity is we are united in our love for Jesus Christ. No, you can't have a relationship based on anything. We bond with people who have the same hobbies, the same political views. We bond with those that are centered around a common purpose and a common goal. Recently, not long ago, I was in a restaurant and I was wearing my Wisconsin Badger shirt. And the waitress and I bonded because she had been a former Badger. Well, what have we learned? If we're going to be a unified district endeavoring to fulfill our purpose, as a body, we should not say things solely for the purpose of hurting someone. Number two, we can agree to disagree and decide to still love one another. A test of maturity is to disagree and yet work to advance the kingdom. We should focus on our mission. And when we have the love of Christ in our heart, it will display itself in our attitude toward one another. When we focus on our mission, we discover that we don't have time for bickering and arguing. And when we recognize that there's one Lord, one faith, and one baptism, we will be able to endure, fulfill our purpose. And we do it through true love. Can I tell you, true love, genuine love, heart-giving love, has influence beyond comprehension. Heartfelt love reaches far and wide. Genuine love affects everybody that it comes in contact with. Genuine love expands the rivers and mountains, oceans and continents. Genuine love carries no chip on his shoulder. True love remembers no axe to grind. True love reveals no jealous look in his eyes. True love has no cutting words on his lips. True love holds no feeling of ill will in our heart. True love is not guilty of malicious gossip. True love does not dress up in rags of self-righteousness. Do I have a witness here? True love does not cast daggers in the backs of others. True love does not falsely interpret the action of others. Yeah, true love does not drown in the waters of self-pity. True love does not point fingers of accusation. True love makes no promise that is not my plan to keep. I wish I had a witness here. True love does not retaliate even if it's mistreated. True love does not throw wet blanket on the hopes of others. True love does not boast on his own accomplishments. Wow! I feel somebody maybe wondering, where can we find A unified district, endeavoring to fulfill its purpose. God bless you, Union District. Thank you for your support. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. What an awesome love. What an awesome love. From an awesome God. What an awesome word.